Today marks 2 years since the storming of the Capitol on January 6th.
And Attorney General Merrick Garland says the Justice Department's investigation into the riots is far from over. The department's probe into the insurrection is the largest it's ever conducted, with more than 900 arrests and more than 950 people charged. And those charges range from unlawful trespassing to crimes as severe as seditious conspiracy.
Members of Congress held a moment of silence on the steps of the U.S. Capitol earlier today in remembrance of January 6th.
As we mark this solemn day, let us draw strength and inspiration from the timeless words of President Lincoln. In his message to Congress he offered in the heat of the Civil War, he said, "We cannot escape history," and he called upon Congress to honor our sacred duty to nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope on earth, which he believed was American democracy. That is our task today, too, so help us God.
Joining us now is retired Lieutenant General Russel Honoré. He led a task force to improve Capitol security following the attacks on January 6th. Many of you may also remember back when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans and Louisiana. He was a major part of the recovery effort there. Lieutenant General, welcome. How did you get roped into all of this? And the risk that day was known at the time. So what needed to be fixed as we've moved on 2 years later?
Well, our study was a very comprehensive study for about 2 months to focus on the security of the Capitol. We gave that report to the House, who then turned it into a supplemental that included about $2.9 billion worth of improvements in hardening the Capitol and hiring additional officers. Very few of those recommendations have been adopted. They're still on the books. We still need to harden the Capitol. We need some retractable fencing to be able to prevent mobs from attacking the Capitol and give the Capitol Police opportunity to be able to protect the Capitol in the event a mob attack like this happened again. Improve the training of the Capitol Police, all that was done. And to hire more officers. The hiring more officers was not approved in that supplemental. And there's still much work to be done based on the recommendations we made to prevent an event like 1/6 from happening again. And as we know, 1/6 was inspired by misinformation. And that's my purpose here today, to go back. How did this happen? It happened because of misinformation, starting with the big lie that started even before the election, that if the former president lost, then the election wasn't fair. And that big lie grew into an expanding use of misinformation, and then the proliferation that on social media.
Let me just
cause these people to attack the Capitol.
Apologies for the interruption, but I wonder if the bottom line here is the Capitol actually safer and more secure compared to 2 years ago?
I think we are. A lot of lessons were learned in their interagency, which had many failures that day. The failure of the FBI to properly take action based on the intelligence they had, failure of the Secret Service to collaborate with the Capitol Police, with the Vice President being in the Capitol and the President being on the mall, and knowing the intention of the President to inspire this mob to go to the Capitol. We had many failures, as well as with Homeland Security, whose mission is to defend the United States, and failure in communications with the Pentagon in releasing the National Guard. So our government didn't work as it should have that day in protecting the Capitol. And thanks to the commitment of the Capitol Police, did the best they could, along with the work of the Metropolitan Police, were able to restore some sense of order. But it really took our nation down a notch. We used to preach to the world the peaceful transfer of power. And now we've done an act 2 years ago that put us in the Banana Republic Club because a group of citizens overtook the Capitol that day. But they did not overtake democracy.
And we know that you wrote about this in an opinion piece with The Hill, but all of that was because of misinformation. And you write that it poses a greater risk now more than ever. We just want to end with you detailing that point.
Absolutely, because we have so many politicians, many of them in that room that you were just showing before I came on, who participated in this misinformation. They've quoted QAnon. They've quoted all sorts of conspiracy. That same group was involved when we had the pandemic and putting out misinformation that caused people to confuse on whether they should take the shot or not. And after going through the pandemic for 2 years in misinformation, now they've focused their efforts on using misinformation to disrupt our democracy, but they're doing it this time from the House floor, which is very discouraging because many of the things they've said, as a matter of fact, when you hear them on television, you know to be a lie. And many of these same members did not vote to confirm President Biden as a president. They failed to vote to confirm that. And they're still in denial about the result of the 2020 election. So this, what was on social media prior to 1/6 in attack of a mob, now it's happening inside the House from what they call the terrorist mob that's operating as a part of the mega agenda inside the House. And they're using misinformation in many cases and standing up before the American people using misinformation to make a point on who should be the next speaker.
All right, Lieutenant General Russel Honoré, thanks so much for sharing your perspective with us.
Thank you.